Welcome to The Deep Dive, the show where we take your pile of sources, be they articles, research, or even fictional narratives, and distill them into the most important nuggets of knowledge and insight.
Yep, we're here to give you that shortcut to being well-informed with surprising facts and, well, hopefully just enough humor to keep you hooked.
Each deep dive is custom-tailored for you, our curious listener, providing expert guidance through the material to help you understand what truly matters.
And today we're embarking on a pretty chilling and profound journey into Stephen Graham Jones's novel, The Only Good Indians.
Right. This isn't just your average horror story, is it?
Not at all. It's a deeply resonant exploration of guilt, cultural identity, and the relentless pursuit of reckoning, all set against this really vivid Blackfeet backdrop.
Our sources for this deep dive are extensive excerpts from the novel itself, along with some of the author's acknowledgments and discussion questions that kind of highlight the profound themes embedded within the narrative.
And our mission today really is to unpack the intricate layers of this story. We want to understand how a single, fateful decision can ripple through lives for years, leading to devastating and, frankly, truly unexpected consequences.
Yeah, we'll explore the interconnected destinies of these four friends, the ancient forces they unknowingly disturbed, and this relentless pursuit of justice that seems to transcend conventional understanding.
So we're starting this deep dive with this scene that just grabs you immediately. Picture this: a sprawling North Dakota bar parking lot. It's a biting winter night.
Freezing cold.
Exactly. And the air is just thick with tension. You've got rookie boss Ribs, a guy trying to outrun his past, facing down this group of menacing roughnecks. The unspoken threats are just hanging heavy.
They feel it.
Then this sudden, totally bewildering twist. He's not yelling at the men anymore. He's yelling at an elk.
An elk in a parking lot.
Right. What could possibly lead to such a terrifying and surreal confrontation? That's the chilling opening thread we'll begin to pull today, unraveling a whole decade of haunted lives.
Okay, so to really understand that moment, that elk in the parking lot, we need to rewind. We have to go back 10 years to what the friends themselves called the Thanksgiving Classic.
Yeah, that name alone tells you something.
It does. So we meet these four young Blackfeet men, Ricky Boss Ribs, Lewis Clark, Gabe Crossguns, and Cass Elk. They've got this profound bond, forged through growing up together on the reservation.
And the setting for this fateful hunt is crucial. It's the elder section of the reservation near Duck Lake, and it's the very last day of the hunting season.
Which already feels like it's pushing boundaries.
Absolutely. And the conditions are brutal, deep, wet snow, a wind that just crowds in, visibility down to almost nothing. Right. It's this landscape that's both beautiful and completely unforgiving.
And this last day of the season thing, as the novel really details, that's where the lines of, ethical hunting start to get blurry.
For sure. Gabe's plea to his friends, it carries this desperate edge. He believes the elk owe you after they've put in so many grueling days out in the cold with zero success.
It's a justification, isn't it?
It is. A subtle but really significant one, laying the groundwork for the moral compromises that are about to happen. It speaks to that human capacity for rationalization when you're faced with, perceived injustice or just a desperate need to succeed.
And what actually happens next, it's far from traditional hunting.
Oh, completely. They stumble upon this unprecedented stroke of what they initially see as just incredible luck.
Right.
They discover a trapped herd of 9 huge elk, each one weighing over 500 pounds, totally oblivious to them because of the whipping wind and the heavy snow.
9 elk. That's a lot.
It's unbelievable. This isn't just good fortune. It's an unbelievable windfall. As the narrator puts it, this was the kind of luck that never happened, that he had only ever heard about. But never like this. Never a whole herd. Never as many as they can bring down.
So temptation is overwhelming.
Exactly. It's an opportunity too tempting to resist. But it just flies in the face of all traditional reverence for the land and its creatures.
Which brings us right to the core violation, doesn't it? An act that's explicitly unethical in the context of respectful hunting.
Absolutely. Cass, instead of using careful tracking or, traditional methods, he drives their Chevy directly into the herd's path, just churning snow, actively spooking the animals into this bottleneck.
Oh, wow.
Then Gabe makes this quick, almost predatory decision, jumps out, shoots first. Cass joins in, shooting and shooting and shooting. It's not a clean kill. It's a panicked, overwhelming slaughter. It basically turns a hunt into a massacre.
And the sheer amount of meat they end up with, it just vividly underscores the excess, the violation.
Right. Lewis himself thinks about it. They could have fed the whole tribe for a week on this much meat. for a month, for the whole winter maybe.
So it wasn't about subsistence.
Not at all. It was an act of extreme, almost gluttonous overkilling. It just goes against every traditional understanding of taking only what you need. It highlights this profound disconnect from the wisdom passed down through generations.
And for Lewis specifically, something shifts.
Yeah.
His focus narrows, right?
Yes, and this is so important for the rest of the story. His attention is drawn to one specific young elk, a young cow. He notices her lack of filled-outness, her gangliness, and, crucially, that she has no ivory in her mouth. She's extremely young.
Just a calf, almost.
Pretty much. And the shot that brings her down is described with agonizing detail. Midway through the back, spine out, her hind legs are useless. She's still struggling, blowing red mist. This specific personal engagement with the suffering of this one animal really sets Lewis apart.
And he struggles to finish it.
He does. Intensely. He struggles to find a shell for the final merciful shot. And when it finally comes, the sound is described as massive, echoing the weight of the act.
Then comes the rationalization.
Classic. In this profound moment of self-deception, he tries to rationalize it all. Tells himself it was just hunting, just bad luck for the elk. He tries to compartmentalize the guilt, arguing that animals aren't aware like that.
It was like stepping on a grasshopper.
Exactly. Just like putting one in a hay bale. Like snapping a blade of grass. It's this very human attempt to rationalize away moral injury, dehumanizing what they've harmed to cope with the immense culpability.
That's a psychological defense, trying to distance himself.
Precisely. But as the novel chillingly shows, that unaddressed trauma, it just festers. It can ultimately consume you.
And what's really compelling is that even after being shot multiple times, she's still there.
Yes. Lewis describes her staring at him again, not dead. This persistence, this lingering presence, even in death, it marks her as different, as special.
It sets her apart from the others.
Completely. It hints at a connection that transcends the physical, suggesting this conscious awareness, maybe even something preternatural, that Lewis just can't escape.
And the consequences, they arrive almost immediately.
Like they were summoned. Denny Pease, the game warden, is waiting for them on his four-wheeler. He knows exactly what they've done. Being caught in the elder section is a huge violation of reservation rules.
Can you explain that a bit, the elder section?
Sure. It's typically a traditional or even sacred hunting ground, often reserved for elders or specific ceremonial purposes. So hunting there, especially like this, is incredibly disrespectful to cultural norms, to the elders, and to the land itself.
So Denny gives them an ultimatum.
He does. Either throw all the meat back and pay a massive fine for all 9 elk, plus any others that ran off wounded, or throw it back and be permanently banned from hunting on the reservation. Ever again.
That's harsh, but deserved, maybe.
Given the violation, yes. And there's this grim, almost ritualistic act of rejection. Gabe, Cass, and Rookie, they hurl their haunches of meat back into the storm.
But not Lewis.
No. Lewis, in this unique act of defiance, or maybe it's a nascent sense of connection, even guilt he insists on keeping the young elk's hide, even her head.
Why? Does he say why?
He claims it's to tan the hide with the brains, but the text says he knew nothing about leather.
Yeah.
It feels more like he can't let her go completely.
Right.
And he struggles immensely to drag her heavy body up the hill, all the odds against him. It's this huge physical and emotional effort that sets him apart again. It foreshadows his deep, unique, and ultimately destructive entanglement with this specific elk.
And the sources mentioned she was pregnant.
Yes, that detail deepens the violation. She was farther along than she should have been for November. Maybe that's why she fought differently, why her eyes, those yellow, almost branching into hazel eyes, were so unforgettable to Lewis. He was the one who killed her specifically. He carries her memory, and literally her hide, into his future.
So this whole section, it lays the foundational sin. It's not just killing animals.
Not at all. It's a profound violation of place, of tradition, an act of extreme disrespect that will just reverberate for a decade.
And Denny Pease says it clearly, right?
He does. Slipping back into an elder section one time is enough to take that all away, their inherent right to hunt. This transgression creates this deep spiritual imbalance, a debt that will come due. It shows how these collective cultural beliefs about land and spirit can manifest as very real, devastating consequences for individuals.
Okay, so the consequences start almost immediately, don't they? And Ricky Boss Ribs is the first target.
Yeah, Ricky, the one who tried so hard to escape it all, his background is just steeped in tragedy. He fled the reservation after his younger brother Cheeto's overdose.
And that detail about the TV.
It's haunting, isn't it? Cheeto's dying while watching the IGA parking lot security feed on TV, a channel only elders watched. It's this constant looping reminder for Ricky of the shit the reservation was, how boring, how nothing. He's carrying this heavy burden, desperate to leave it behind.
So he tries to make a new life in North Dakota on a drilling crew.
Right. But he's acutely aware of being the only Indian. They call him Chief. And because he's new and temporary, he's always the chain monkey, the guy sent down into the hole.
He tries to pretend it's okay, though.
He puts on a front, flashing thumbs up to show how he was lucky, how none of this was ever going to touch him. He even rationalizes the brutal cold, thinking, Blackfeet don't complain because complaining doesn't make you warmer.
But underneath,
he's planning his escape. Saving up for a bus ticket to Minneapolis after his first paycheck. He just wants out.
But the past is already creeping in, these weird visions.
Exactly. The novel tells us they started ever since hunting went bad last winter, and didn't even stop when Cheeto died. He has these moments where the modern world had fallen away for a long blink.
Like the foreman in the cavalry jacket.
Yeah. And Ricky feeling this almost ancestral pull towards the brass buttons. It hints at something deeper, maybe historical, is at play. The consequences aren't just personal. They might echo generational trauma, this fractured relationship with the lands and its history.
And the deer at the cemetery.
That's another unsettling image. A big muley nosing up to the chicken wire fence around all these dead Indians.
Yeah.
It makes Ricky wonder what the deer sees, if it's just waiting all these two-leggers out.
Is it just a deer or something more?
That's the question, isn't it? Is it just a random deer, or is it a symbolic presence? A harbinger of one's consequences. It subtly plants the seed of the elk spirit's involvement long before she fully manifests. It blurs that line between the natural and the supernatural.
Okay, so then we get to the bar confrontation in Williston. This is where it really escalates for Ricky.
It does. The scene is just gritty. Yellow air, crowded urinals, guys pissing in trash cans. Ricky needs to step outside into this vast parking lot.
And the tension is immediate.
Palpable. The racial tension. He knows intuitively, only stupid Indians brush past a bunch of hard-handed white dudes, each of them sure that seat you had in the bar, it should have by right been theirs.
They're okay with him being the chief on the crew.
But not when it comes to looking at a white woman. Well, that's another thing altogether. The novel really externalizes the systemic prejudice he faces constantly. He's a walking target.
And inside, he's struggling.
Intensely. He's sobering up fast. His thoughts flash to the rifles, and his truck rifles he took from his uncles and granddad as stake money for Minneapolis.
He wishes he had his rifle then.
Desperately. He wishes for his .3 Euro 6 to swing around, envisions using it to, leave half moons in cheeks and eyebrows and rib cages. It's this raw, desperate thought born of fear and simmering rage. These grimy white boys were going to remember this Blackfeet.
It's that feeling of being cornered.
Exactly. Vulnerability mixed with this primal urge to fight back against threats, both real and maybe imagined at this point.
And then the elk appears.
Or seems to. Ricky, after relieving himself, feels he wasn't alone anymore. He turns, yells, "You want some of me?" directly at an elk. He grabs a crescent wrench from a nearby truck.
But the book says elk don't do this.
Right. Never mind he was outweighed by a cool 500 pounds. Never mind that elk don't do this. He swings the wrench at what he thinks are hooves.
But it's not hooves.
No.
Yeah.
He realizes it wasn't hooves this time, but boots. And then a roughneck bellows, "There he is!"
So the elk was a hallucination. Or something else.
That's the terrifying ambiguity.
Ah.
Ricky perceives the elk, yells at it, swings at it. But the brutal reality is the roughnecks, already primed for a fight because of the tension inside, are closing in.
They chase him.
Yeah, a desperate run through the parking lot. He's hitting trucks, setting off alarms. He yells, "Fuck you," to all the trucks, all the cowboys, just North Dakota and oil fields and America in general. It's this final outpouring of rage against everything closing in on him.
And the headline.
Chillingly accurate.
Yeah.
The one he himself had predicted earlier. Indian man killed in dispute outside bar. That cyclical element, his own prophecy coming true, it's just brutal.
So what's really compelling here is how his psychological state, the guilt, the racial tension, seems to create the reality that kills him.
Exactly. Is it a classic horror trope? The mind breaking under pressure, his hallucinations becoming real? Or is something genuinely supernatural at play? A malevolent spirit exploiting his deepest fears and vulnerabilities.
The novel leaves it open.
Artfully ambiguous. It lets you grapple with that terrifying possibility that internal demons and external threats can just merge into one devastating force. His attempts at cold resistance, his self-deception that none of this would touch him, they just crumble under the weight of his past and the consequences finally catching up.
Okay, let's move on to Lewis Clark. He tries to build this life of normalcy after the hunt, but his story takes a really different, maybe even more profound turn into horror.
Yeah, Lewis's journey is intense. He's been married to Peta for 10 years. They live in Great Falls in a new rent house with a vaulted living room. Peta is Crow, strong-willed, and their relationship seems pretty solid, you know? Lewis reflects on good surprises like fixing the unfixable light.
He has a steady job, too.
Postal worker. He even has this running joke with his Crow co-worker, Shani. She calls him Blackfeet, kind of lighthearted jab about their tribal histories. On the surface, it looks like he's managed to move on.
But inside,
he's still deeply haunted by that hunting trip. He's plagued by these mental glacier reporter headlines he creates himself, like the Indian who climbed too high.
reflecting his anxiety.
Totally. Anxiety, a persistent sense of impending doom. He's clearly carrying this heavy burden of guilt that's been festering quietly for a decade, just manifesting as these intrusive, almost prophetic thoughts.
And then the elk starts to physically intrude on his reality. Subtly at first.
Right, almost domestically. There's this flickering spotlight in their new house, a constant random disturbance. Is it just faulty wiring? Or is it something more insidious, a physical manifestation of his unease?
Then comes the moment with the fan.
Oh, yeah. This is pivotal. Lewis is up on a ladder, fixing that very spotlight. He looks down through the spinning fan blades and sees a young cow elk on the carpet, dead.
The same elk.
It seems so. Her yellow right eye. Was it open before? And then, when it blinks, Lewis lets out a little yip. The mundane domestic scene just cracks wide open, revealing this terrifying supernatural intrusion right into his perception of reality.
And it gets worse with their dog, Harley.
Dramatically worse. Harley, their beloved dog Peta gave him 9 years ago, is found hanging by his chain from the top of the fence, eyes open but not seeing anything. Lewis is just devastated, struggling to speak.
And the twitching leg.
That detail is so chilling. One of Harley's hind legs twitches once, exactly in rhythm somehow with the way that elk on the living room floor blinked her eyes. And the violence, Harley's body was stomped, ran down by a horse, Lewis thinks later, slamming that dog into nothing, into a red chunky smear. It's calculated terror, a clear escalation of the revenge.
So Lewis tries to rationalize this with masking tape.
It's this desperate, almost pathetic attempt. He uses masking tape to outline her shape on the carpet. He even lays her preserved hide, that fat, hairy burrito in the middle, trying to prove it couldn't have happened, that she wouldn't have even fit right there.
Is he trying to prove his sanity or hers?
That's the question, isn't it? Is he desperately trying to cling to logic, prove his own sanity, or is he trying to somehow assert control over this increasingly illogical, terrifying reality the elk represents? He's clinging to the rational as his world just crumbles.
And Shani, his co-worker, becomes important here.
Yeah, Shani. She becomes this unsettling confidant, almost like a seer for him. Her physical appearance is marked by scars, a bloodshot eye, a scarred forehead, a long, ragged scar on her stomach from open-heart surgery.
Mirroring trauma.
Exactly. It hints at her own past connection to violence or a brush with death, giving her this subtle, knowing wisdom. She becomes almost a conduit for Lewis's unconscious guilt.
And she asks these pointed questions.
Unnervingly relevant questions. While reading Lewis's fantasy novels, she writes notes like, what makes this elk so special and why now? And she asks about ivory.
Ivory.
Yeah, she implies a deeper, perhaps traditional understanding of elk and their spiritual significance. She suggests the elk's canines, once tusks, are still ivory, and checking for them is how you identify the ghost elk. It's a reminder of traditional knowledge Lewis seems to have lost touch with.
And this leads Lewis to a realization.
A terrifying aha moment. Through Shani's prodding, he realizes the ghost elk emerged right when the very last packet of the original elk meat he'd given to elders hit the ground, started to thaw.
So his guilt was the anchor.
Precisely. His profound guilt, his vivid memory of her, and especially his broken promise that none of her would go to waste, a promise he clearly failed to keep. That was the tether she pulled herself back with. It powerfully connects the revenge directly to broken promises and the inescapable consequences of violating cultural and spiritual tenets.
Shani becomes this catalyst then.
A reluctant catalyst, maybe unknowingly. Her knowing glances, her pointed questions, they guide Lewis towards this horrific truth about the elk's identity. and his own culpability. She seems to understand the spiritual repercussions long before he does, like a chilling oracle in his unraveling.
Which leads Lewis to these final desperate acts.
Yeah, his descent just accelerates. He starts suspecting Shiny is the elk, a manifestation of the spirit. He tries to check her teeth for ivory, using the flimsy excuse of jump-starting his motorcycle, his Road King.
Does he find anything?
No. He touches her skin, searching for a sign. No sparks, no flood of memories or accusations. He doesn't get physical proof, but his mind is already twisted, determined to connect her to his haunting.
And then the climax with PETA. It's horrifying.
Utterly horrifying and deeply unexpected. He finds out PETA is pregnant, which should be joyful.
Yeah.
But in his profound delusion, he sees a thin brown leg and a tiny black hoof inside her.
You think she's carrying the elk calf?
Yes. His mind, completely corrupted by the elk's haunting, convinces him PETA is carrying the calf from the elk he killed 10 years ago, the one he thought he buried.
And the knife.
He uses the dull knife, the same knife from the hunt 10 years ago, to slice open PETA's belly and pull out what he perceives as the elk calf. It's this grotesque mirroring of his original sin, a horrific reenactment of the trauma he inflicted.
Then he flees with the calf.
Yes. He takes what he calls his daughter and flees into the Montana night. The headlines follow. Native man on killing spree. 2 dead so far. Baby missing.
And his rationalization for killing Shany.
It's the final stage of his mental collapse. He tells himself, Shany wasn't even really a person, right? She was just an elk he shot 10 years ago Saturday. He literally reduces her to the source of his trauma to justify the unspeakable. It shows the ultimate corruption of his mind by guilt and the elk's relentless revenge.
So his descent is complete. From haunted man to murderer.
Absolutely. A full-blown psychotic break, possibly driven or at least exploited by supernatural forces. His belief that he was burying the unborn elk calf 10 years ago and now delivering it from PETA, who he remembers was still kind of struggling in its thin, veiny bag, it just completes this horrific, inescapable cycle of violence.
How does this idea of a ghost elk change how we think about grief or retribution?
Well, it transforms it, doesn't it? It's not just a personal, internal struggle anymore. It becomes this external, unrelenting force. It blurs the lines between psychological torment and tangible supernatural intervention, making those abstract consequences terrifyingly real.
Okay, let's shift to Gabe Crossguns. He was the leader of that hunt, and now he's facing his own reckoning.
Right, Gabe. He's described as prone to drinking, boisterous, but also having this fierce, unwavering loyalty to his daughter, Denorah.
Denorah, the finals girl.
It's exactly. She's a basketball prodigy, destined for a full-ride scholarship. She's got her mother Trina's drive, but also Gabe's cross-guns determination in her veins. He's incredibly proud, even though there's a restraining order keeping him from her games because of his behavior fighting, public intoxication. He's clearly struggling with his own demons.
Does he hold on to the past?
He does, in tangible ways. He keeps a Mauser rifle, his uncle's war trophy, but just uses it for shooting mice, kind of mundane. He also laments Lewis and Ricky's deaths, calling Lewis stupid, but acknowledging his connection to Ricky.
He knows about Lewis and PETA.
Yeah, he reflects on the grim headlines, noting his wife is dead too, and that Lewis had field dressed her. The community knows the horrific details. He's aware of the ripple effects, even if he doesn't grasp the supernatural source yet. The news of his friend's gruesome ends definitely weighs on him, creating this growing sense of dread.
And Cassidy, the other survivor, tries to do something about it. The sweat lodge.
Yeah, Cassidy sees elk takes the initiative. He builds this sweat lodge, described evocatively as an igloo made from homeless dudes hoping to sweat the past year out, reset. Like,
Who joins them?
it's Gabe, Cassidy, Victor Yellowtail, who's a cop and an old friend, and Victor's young son, Nathan, who ran away from a wake looking for solace. It's this attempt to cleanse, to ritually purge the past. But the whole thing is just tinged with irony, given what's coming.
They perform a ritual inside, remembering the dead.
They do, pouring water for Ricky, Lewis, and Nathan's granddad. But Gabe is cynical. He questions the scoop Cassidy uses for the water, asking, isn't that the dog food scoop?
Cassidy says it's for horses.
Right, but Gabe's reluctance to drink, his underlying cynicism about the ritual itself, it raises a question, doesn't it? Is their remembrance truly honorable? Is it genuine cleansing and accountability? Or just going through the motions, trying to avoid real responsibility?
It feels like they're missing the point.
Exactly. They're performing the ritual, but the spirit of genuine reconciliation seems absent, which kind of foreshadows its failure.
And then the elk's vengeance strikes. Violently.
Brutally. Gabe discovers Cassidy's beloved dogs, Lady Bear, Miss Lefty, and Stout dead.
Yeah.
Just brutally stomped. Their chest has been crushed.
Innocent victims.
Completely. The dogs are direct casualties, innocent victims in the elk's escalating, indiscriminate revenge. It's this brutal, unsettling precursor to the human toll that's about to be exacted.
And then the herd appears.
An entire herd,
Oh.
silently behind Cassidy's camper. 80, 90 elk, maybe 100. And they're all looking right back at him, not a single tail flicking, not one eye blinking.
That's not natural.
No way. This is the elk spirit's active, undeniable presence. A silent, menacing judgment descending upon the remnants of the hunting party. A collective manifestation of the wronged.
And the elk-head woman makes her appearance.
Her physical manifestation, she's seen as a full-grown woman in a too-tight scrimmage jersey, stepping into Gabe's truck bed, her long black hair swirling in after her. This is the terrifying embodiment of the elk spirit, arriving for the final brutal phase of her revenge.
Reclaiming the space.
Exactly. Reclaiming the very space where the hunt began, where the first victims were hauled away. She's not just a ghost anymore. She's tangible, menacing.
And the climax at the sweat lodge just descends into chaos.
Complete chaos. Cassidy finds his dogs, discovers his missing ring, the one he kept for his girlfriend, Jo, and he just snaps. He confronts Gabe, convinced Gabe killed his dogs and stole the ring. In this fit of grief and rage, he smashes Gabe's truck mirror and windshield with the thermos.
Trust is gone.
Completely shattered, replaced by accusation and violence. Cassidy pursues Gabe.
And Gabe crashes Cassidy's truck.
Deliberately. The truck was propped up on cinder blocks. Gabe crashes into it, causing it to crumble down like a shot elk. The novel makes that connection explicit, a symbolic mirroring of the original hunt. The weight of the past literally crushes their present. It's Gabe trying to escape, but it just binds him tighter to the cycle of destruction.
Then Denorah arrives.
And this is just devastating. Gabe sees the girl with the basketball, the finals girl, his daughter in her scrimmage white jersey. It's his deepest fear manifested his actions, harming his innocent daughter. He tries desperately to shield her.
That Cassidy shoots.
Cassidy, consumed by grief and rage, uses the Mauser rifle. Gabe steps in front of the gun, tries to protect her, but the next cartridge slides in perfect. A cruel twist of fate. Denorah shot.
Oh, no.
The aftermath is just horrific. Gabe, in utter horror, pushes Cassidy away, hitting him repeatedly with the thermos until Cassidy dies. Then he finds Nathan bleeding and discovers Victor Yellowtail dead in the outhouse, a bib of blood on his uniform shirt.
The revenge is complete for the hunters.
Brutally complete, leaving this trail of devastation that extends far beyond the original four.
In Gabe's final act.
It's one of desperate acceptance, a grim surrender. Alone, bleeding profusely, he implicitly faces the elk spirit. He accepts his fate, tells her, "Do it, or I go after your calf for real." A final, defiant taunt, maybe a twisted offer of peace.
And he uses Cassidy's finger.
In a shocking, gruesome twist, yes. He uses Cassidy's dead finger to pull the trigger on himself, imagining horse hooves, the cavalry taking a shot at him, and finally getting lucky. It's this moment of grim surrender, maybe a final twisted attempt at control, or even a warped form of atonement in death.
So the sweat lodge, meant for cleansing,
becomes a bloodbath. The revenge cycle is complete for those involved in the hunt, mirroring the violence, showing the inescapable nature of their past actions. Their attempts to escape or rationalize only hasten their own brutal ends. It shows that some deaths can't be outrun.
It takes more than ritual.
Exactly. True cleansing requires genuine accountability, a profound respect for what was violated.
Okay, so as we move into the final part, we get the elk-head woman's perspective, this coalesced consciousness.
Yes, and it brings this chilling clarity to her pursuit. She revealed her origin, referring to the elk's age when killed. You're 14 then, already. She explained she was an awareness spread out through the herd, a memory cycling from brown body to brown body.
And she formed into a body.
She coalesced, congealed into a physical form, wriggling into a human body, specifically Jo's, Cassidy's girlfriend, making her manifestation even more insidious and personal.
And her motive is clear now.
Crystal clear and deeply personal. To groom, corner, and isolate the killers. She found Gabe so fragile, so delicately balanced, so unprepared to face what he'd done. She explains how she stole Jo's clothes, called herself Jolene.
But Denorah sees through it.
Right. Denorah quickly realizes she isn't Jolene. Then her face transforms into elk-head woman, revealing her true, terrifying identity, this fusion of human and animal, embodying ancient vengeance.
And she has these ancient memories too, right, of the land?
Yes, connecting her deeply to the land and a long history of violence against it. She recalls an ancient memory of the herd being massacred by the town, hunters just stepping onto their porches and shooting.
They learn to avoid train tracks.
Exactly. The herd learned to avoid the metal tracks because they knew they could stand up into a sudden wall. Her ultimate goal, learned from this ancient herd wisdom, is to never stay in one place. Keep moving, always moving.
Which explains her relentless pursuit.
Her methodical, relentless pursuit, and her uncanny ability to evade capture. She has violated nature's relentless demand for balance.
And Denorah, Gabe's daughter, is tragically caught in the middle of all this.
And the crossfire. She arrives at Cassidy's place, finds the lodgers asleep, Victor's cop car there, but ominously, no dogs. That immediately signals something is terribly wrong.
Her journey there felt like prophecy.
Yes, the moccasin telegraph. That powerful concept in native cultures of news or foreboding spreading rapidly, almost spiritually. It felt like she was drawn there by something beyond the ordinary.
Then the elk-head woman challenges her to basketball.
Chillingly. Disguised as Shani, she taunts Denorah. So this is what's most important to you, right? This ritualistic game is this twisted, symbolic part of the arc's plan, a perverse mirror of Denorah's passion and hope.
And the court is dangerous.
Yeah, a square, rotting away backboard nailed flush to a tribal utility pole promising creosote splinters. But Denorah's spirit is fierce. She plays hard, dedicating her win to her tribe. For every Blackfeet from before and after, she refuses to yield, this powerful embodiment of resilience.
Then Victor intervenes.
Victor Yellowtail, alerted by the noise, appears, gravely wounded, whole front soaked in blood, pistol flashing. He tries to shoot Shani Elkhead woman, hits the pole, then her shoulder.
And Shani reveals herself fully.
In that moment, she screams, "I killed you!" at Victor, confirming his earlier death. Her face fully transforms into Elkhead woman, no longer human, not a horse and elk. Her true identity is undeniable now.
And Nora runs.
Instinctively. She knows only to run, to leave. She flees towards Victor, seeking protection, sliding to her knees before him. She realizes the truck that brought her was the moccasin telegraph, a prophecy fulfilled. She heads for the lake houses, hoping for a phone.
And remembers elk are train shy?
That crucial piece of knowledge saves her. She hides under a boxcar, shrewdly realizing Elkhead woman only walks in a straight line. She won't bend to go under things.
Smart girl.
Absolutely. It's this moment of pure ingenuity and resilience, using what she knows about her pursuer's limitations to survive. It shows how intelligence and cultural knowledge are powerful tools against even supernatural horror.
She finds the field of bones.
Yes, this grim landscape, and realizes the horrifying truth. It's the exact spot of the Thanksgiving classic hunt, the place her dad would never tell her about.
And the elk-head woman finds the calf.
Finds the icy patch where Lewis buried the unborn calf. She digs frantically and miraculously books the still wet, shivering calf a decade later. It's this moment of impossible, terrifying rebirth.
And her maternal instinct takes over.
Completely. She immediately crawls around the calf, protecting it from a new threat. Denny Pease, the game warden, arriving with a rifle. The novel states protecting this calf is the only thing she ever really wanted to do this whole time.
So the revenge was driven by this.
It transforms her, doesn't it? From just a vengeful spirit into this manifestation of violated nature's fierce protective maternal will. Her relentless revenge was ultimately driven by the desire for the rebirth and protection of her lost child.
The ending isn't typical revenge closure, though?
Not at all. It challenges that narrative. Denorah acts selflessly, echoing her father's attempt to protect her. She slides forward on her bloody knees, placing her small body between Denny's rifle and the elk-head woman.
And she calls him Dad?
For the first time.
Oh.
No, Dad, no. It's this moment of profound forgiveness and understanding. Denny recognizes her hand signal, the Indian way of saying a thing is over, a gesture of peace he used to use. He lowers the rifle. The cycle of violence is broken.
And the elk-head woman transforms back.
Yes. She collapses. Her human skin rips away, revealing coarse brown hair, black hooves. An elk cow stands up, licks her calf, and they just walk off into the grass, back to the herd. The cycle ends not with more death, but with a return to the natural order, a rebalancing. The elk embodies ancient memory and resilience, returning to her true form. It's renewal, not just an ending.
And that final line, it's not the end of the trail, it's the beginning.
So compelling, right? It challenges traditional closure. It suggests that while the individual vengeance is done, the larger story of the elk, the land, the Blackfeet relationship to it is just starting a new chapter. It implies this continuous cyclical nature where death isn't finality, but transformation.
So what does this beginning signify?
Well, maybe that true justice isn't always punitive. It can be restorative, a reestablishment of balance, even if it comes at a terrible cost to those who disrupted it. It forces us to think about the long-term impacts of our actions on the environment, on cultural traditions. The past is never really buried, and its repercussions demand not just retribution, but ultimately a return to equilibrium.
So we've taken a deep dive into the only good Indians. It's this incredible story weaving together deep guilt, relentless revenge, the complexities of cultural identity.
Yeah, we've seen the devastating ripples of that single violation, the psychological toll on Ricky and Lewis, the ultimate reckoning for Gabe and Cassidy.
And we've also explored that powerful resilience and transformation in the elk'woman and ultimately in Denorah, who kind of offers this glimmer of hope for a different path.
And the author notes, right? Indian stories always hoop back on themselves like that, don't they? At least the good ones do. This cyclical narrative where beginnings and endings blur, it really forces us to consider, what does it truly mean to achieve justice or find peace, especially when in the past, even generations of history just refuses to stay buried.
And what does good even mean in a world where survival often comes at such a profound cost, where those lines between psychological breakdown and supernatural intervention are so powerfully, terrifyingly blurred?
This deep dive, it's just a powerful reminder of how narrative makes us confront uncomfortable truths, understand those unseen ancient forces shaping lives.
We really hope this exploration prompts you, the listener, to reflect on the stories we all carry, the debts we incur, consciously or not, and the ways in which maybe we're all seeking to find our way back home, whatever form that home takes.